and welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Kathie Owen, and today I have a special guest coming on here. I have my coach, my mentor, and he has really made an impact in my life, in my business, and today you're going to get all kinds of good gold nuggets that have to do with business, have to do with selling, with that's not really selling. It's just having a conversation. And let's be clear. Let's work with who we want to work with, not just everybody. And there's so much in this. You are in for a treat. And without further ado, let's get into the episode. All right, welcome. Today is something special. I'm bringing in one of my absolute favorite mentors today. And just before we get into all the good stuff, I would love to have Gieo introduce himself to you and tell us a little bit about what you do, Gieo.
Hey, Kathie, so great to be here with you today. I'm excited to have this conversation with you and with your audience. So, yeah, what I do is I help people in health and wellness and personal transformation, primarily to create group programs so that they can step away from working with clients one-on-one and get the benefit of being able to work with 20, 30, 50, 100, 200 people in an online program. And there's just a lot of benefits to that. So that's the primary focus of what I do. And then I help people on all aspects of designing that program and then marketing it.
Awesome. And I have to say, I found Gieo through Flow-Based Prosperity Mastermind, and I will have links to that in the show notes and description below. But by the time I met Gieo, I wasn't very trusting of coaches who taught what exactly Gieo does. And because he was part of the mastermind and because I listened to him talk during the mastermind, he gained my trust like 120%. And I'm so glad he did. And it was just a gift because he has made a difference in my life and my business and just everything in general. And I always like to say this about Gieo: he will not let you fail. He just won't. But he also doesn't work with just everybody. So I kind of want to talk about that because his expertise in entrepreneurship is very specific and very helpful. So let's talk about that.
Right.
Not working with just anybody.
Yeah, so true. And what I say is that there's a coach for everybody. And coaching is such an exciting field, and it really has come into its own now. And coaching for C-suite people and high-level athletes and people who are really achieving at a high level, that's been around forever, really. But now the industry has widened, and like I said, there's a coach for everybody. And one of the big mistakes that I do see people make is sometimes they will follow people like Amy Porterfield, who has an enormous reputation, and she spends hundreds of thousands, hundreds of millions of dollars probably on advertising. So she's super well known, but her particular way is not everybody's way. And so, as you mentioned, like in Joseph Rodriguez's group, which is where you and I met, he's the master at making people aware that your way is the best way. You are the best for a particular client, and becoming aware of what your secret sauce is, including your values and what you stand for. Like you said, I'm really committed to making sure that everybody who comes through my program has success. And I don't work with a lot of people. I work with a small, select number of people. And those are my values.
And that shows big time. And I love that he mentioned Amy Porterfield because I write a lot of blog posts about Amy and about what happened with my experience with that. Don't get me wrong. Amy is awesome. She's a great coach. She's just not my coach. Gieo is my coach. And that's where I stand. But what happens with Amy is she sells to everybody. And that's where the difference is. When you sell to everybody, you have customers who end up very unhappy with your services. And my blog posts that I write about Amy happened to be really popular. And again, I'm going to go back to the fact that she's good at what she does. She's just not my coach. And what I found with Amy, and I'd like you to speak to this too, Gieo, is I found that I made a lot of friends inside her community. And it turned out to be all these people were what I call online coaching junkies. They
Mm,
just got dedicated to the next shiny object, the
mm,
next shiny object. And to me, and my opinion and my belief is Amy advertises to those people. And
yes.
that's why they get sucked into it, because I was looking for a solution to build a course. And let's go back. I bought into Amy in 2021, and now we're in 2025. And I didn't meet Gieo till 2024. So I was shopping around. And by the time I met Gieo, I didn't trust anybody. So let's speak to that.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. And so, one of the things that comes to my mind almost right away is that in a program that has hundreds, thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of people, even like Tony Robbins now, like I trained with Tony Robbins back when he was first getting started, and I would be very close to him. There was like 300 people in the room, and I was already a practitioner of NLP. And so I got to be like a breakout trainer and worked really closely with Tony Robbins, Richard Bandler, Wyatt Woodsmall. These are the founders of hypnosis and transformational change work. But now, because his popularity, just like Amy Porterfield, has grown such that at an event now, I think there'll be like 15,000 people there. It's hard to, you're not going to get personalized coaching. And this is true with Amy Porterfield as well. And in fact, the reality for people to understand is that in a program like that, you're not even going to be working with Amy or Tony. Like Tony right now, he charges, I don't even know if he's taking any one. I don't think he does take, but he used to charge $1 million a year because he's just in such demand for his time. And that's how things work. But yeah, in a large scale program, you're not going to be working directly with that person. You're going to be working with coaches that they've trained. And, it's not to put down any of these things, it's just to bring awareness. And the other thing that I wanted to speak to, which is what you're saying about, I guess, the evolution of the coaching industry as well. There has been this kind of trend, both in coaching and personal development, too, of, oh, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And what is shifting out now or sifting out is people who really want to get to their own truth, like not somebody else's truth. So to be true to your own way, your inner inner calling. And that's why I call my brand One True Calling. Like we are all called to create, and yet we all each have a unique voice, a unique way of expressing that, and getting to what that thing is what allows us to stand out and to attract the people who are really we are meant to serve.
So that kind of goes back to the importance of your niche. If you're speaking to everybody, you're not going to be able to really help the person like me. Like Amy probably really could have helped me, but her material was so large, and it was only in 12 weeks. We were supposed to learn all this. And what she was doing was we had a 12-week program, and people were getting through it really fast. And I was looking around going, how did they do this? They're already on week 6 and they're only week 3. Later, I came to know, because I stayed in her marketing funnel, she was selling this group again, access to the group again. So these people had already gone through the course one time, and then they go through it again. And that's why they were already at week 6 on week 2. Like,
Yes.
oh, okay. But it ticked me off because I was like seeing these people who were so far ahead and I'm way back here. And it made me feel like a loser and that's where the personal impact or not niching down, to me, it feels like her value was there. It was just like selling to everybody, which she even would tell us, don't do that. Oh, my brain couldn't comprehend it's over here and over here. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know Geo doesn't do that. And in fact, I'll go back to the fact that he won't let you fail because, again, let's go. We're not just going to sell to everybody. There's a certain process that me and Geo are going to talk about in a minute after we talk about our niching.
Yeah. The niching is such a valuable thing to really understand. And it's a bit like an onion because there's layers to it, because everybody has heard about niching and the importance of focusing in, but there's layers to it. And what I mean by that is there are specific skills that a specific person needs. Like before this interview, you and I were talking about one of your people who specifically has challenges with selling and that they're scared of selling. Selling is a very particular skill. It's one skill, and you can have either an offer or an entire program that is just around selling for your particular audience of people. And your audience is going to be different than other audiences. Like people, they make fun of the used car salesman or the car salesman in general. A good car salesman, they learn how to sell, right? But they're not going to be selling like a health and wellness coach. It's a completely different market. It's a completely different way of having the conversation. But a niche, for example, could be simply a program that teaches selling to corporate wellness experts, and that's all it is. And that program would be so valuable because what is the ideal, like, top value of a client for you? Like the top value, like a yearly value, what would it be?
You
For
mean dollar
corporate,
wise or?
yeah, dollar wise for a corporate wellness client at the absolute ideal amount.
Oh, I would say at least
Yeah.
$100,000.
Yeah. So that means that if a person is lacking the skill, that means that they're missing out on $100,000. So in order to teach selling to somebody who is in that arena, that program is easily worth $10,000 just to teach that one particular thing, because that $10,000, just one client is 100,000. And anyone who is like familiar with Alex Hormozy with his gym launch program, that's exactly what he did. And he charged $42,000 a year for his program because he showed people how to up level their gym subscription memberships to something on average of $236,000 per year. And once you have that skill set, then, you're going to have multiple years of $250,000 sales. And it can sound like it would be unbelievable to pay that much money, but it's all in the value of the outcome that you are niching your skill around. So that's both the niching and also value. And like I said, it's a layers of the onion, because even somebody who's really skilled at niching, it's testing. We create a hypothesis about a particular market, where they are, what they want, and then we have to go out into that market and test it by having direct conversations with people.
That's great. I love that because that leads me into the next topic, which is actually the conversations that we have and reframing that from sales to just a conversation. Because let's remember, he mentioned it's just a hypothesis. So we're just like going, I think this will work. I know what I'm good at. Let's go into a conversation with people about it everywhere we go. So how do we go about doing those conversations, Geo? And is there an outline like that can just be put out there in minutes?
Yeah, there really is. Like I said, it's a very high value skill to learn. And I know when I learned it, and I paid a coach myself a couple $1,000s to learn it. And the very next day, I made a $4,200 sale because I learned how to do consultative selling. And so I doubled my investment in one single day. And that is what understanding how consultative selling works. And what I would say for anybody who is testing out a hypothesis is, oh, I think this is my ideal client, and I think this is what they want. What I might recommend is a couple of different things. And one being, it depends on where you are financially and this kind of thing. But the ideal thing is just to do some, what you might call like an informational interview. And this informational interview it's not selling, but it's, hey, you can reach out on LinkedIn to corporate CEOs or to business owners. I don't know what the typical size of the company that you like to work with, but I'll tell you this, that companies that are in the 10 to $20 million price range, those people are surprisingly easy to get a hold of. I was an owner of a company like that myself, and I would take calls because I'm looking for things that could help my business to grow. And so unlike like a IBM or something like that, you're almost never going to find the right person there. But in a $10 million company, you're going to find them all day on LinkedIn. They're going to be in groups on LinkedIn, and you can use a messenger on LinkedIn, or you could do a similar thing on Facebook and go into entrepreneurial groups. But it has to be a very specific type. Like I said, a CEO of a $10 million company, maybe in a certain range. And then you just reach out to them and ask them and say, hey, I'm launching a new product and I'd like to get some feedback on it. Can I do an informational interview with you? It might take 15 minutes. And then, yeah, there's a structure to it. You ask questions. And oftentimes what happens, this is what happened to me when I first launched my company, is I did something along this line and completely like I wasn't selling anything. I just brought somebody into my world. We did a small webinar together on a topic, what we're doing right now. And that person became so confident that I knew what I was doing and I had a tremendous value to this particular marketplace that within 30 days, she had invested $30,000 into my startup, put it right into a joint bank account. But anyways, this is roughly what you can do with informational interviews, even like what we're doing right now. You could have guests on your show. And this is how you build trust, but you also find out what people want. And if what they want is what you offer, chances are really good they're going to be like, "Oh, you have what I want. Tell me more." And that's exactly what happened to me with my business partner.
And so I have to tell you that Gieo is the best coach because we did a coaching session the other day and he made me realize that I was trying to think inside of a box and he was playing the customer and I was doing what I thought was consultative selling, but it really wasn't. It was more like forcing them into this idea that I thought this is the service that they need. But when you do consultative selling, like Gieo teaches, and you ask the questions that you're thinking, you can find this, what I was trying to force everybody into wasn't what was on the table right now. I could have gone, oh, yeah, I do public speaking. And what we were working on was I was trying to put them through on my corporate wellness programs, but he was telling me, we do outings, we have events. And I could have easily, he was shopping for somebody for that. And instead of the challenges, I could have put him, oh, I'd be happy to come speak in this. We can talk about my speaking events and I can come out there and talk to your team and let's see how that goes. And, or even if we just talked more about that than thinking inside this little box that here. But that's what happens when you do consultative selling, you do exploratory conversations that Gieo teaches. And it really led me to see, okay, my hypothesis wasn't really the right thing. And when you do consultative selling the right way, then you find I could have gone with this avenue instead, because that's where I could have gotten in the door. And then later they might have said, oh yeah, we want to do that because our employees are having a challenge here. And that's why it's a hypothesis and not a theory, right?
Yeah. Yeah, people, they truly hate to be sold things, and this is the big mistake, like and this is the notion that people have about pushy car salespeople. They're just, like, pushing something and talking about this whole thing. With the consultative process, sometimes we call it a discovery call because it's really asking questions and finding out what is somebody's highest aspiration for this particular thing that you're offering or that you're having the conversation about, and then finding out what have been the obstacles to achieving that. And they're going to tell you exactly basically what their obstacles are. And again, like I said, if what you do is the solution that solves those obstacles, they're gonna you're not gonna sell them. They're gonna be like, "How can I work with you?" And that happens. I've seen that happen many times. I don't even say, "I've got something for you." They ask me. They're like, "How can I work with you? How does a person work with you?"
I know. It's like magic. It really is when you do it right. And that's happened to me every time across the board. Oh, wait, how can I work with you? And if I had done that in the first place, when I was doing that coaching call with Geo, when he was playing role playing with me, it would have turned into that. So I really want to touch base on something that I learned from you. And that is how your sister did her entrepreneurship and her massage business and how it turned into a multi-million-dollar business.
Yeah, she's such an inspiration to me. She's passed away now, but my sister Anne Marie, she started a massage business in New York and Long Island. And she was in a part of Long Island where many of the people in the Wall Street industries and the finance industries live. And so this is one of the fundamental things. And I learned this from my family. We're all entrepreneurs, all six of us kids. And then my parents, we had a bunch of different family businesses. But one of the key things that my sister did is she located her first spa in the perfect location where all of her ideal clients would be. And I don't know if she did this consciously or she just had an unconscious competence around it, but she just was located where high net worth clients who have a high amount of stress lived. And so they would come to get massage sometimes 2, 3 times a week. She charged a premium price, and then there was a migration to the ski resorts out west, and a number of these companies and CEOs and people in charge of these companies bought up properties, corporate properties in Vail, Colorado. And so my sister, she hearing this thing from her clients, and so she's, "I got to go check this out." And so she ended up opening up a spa in Vail, Colorado, and many of the same clients. So this is what we talked about niching. And so being in the right right location where your ideal clients are, and not all clients are equal, right? In terms of their ability to afford a service. We're all equal under God, but when it comes to somebody's ability to pay for a service, if you're selling a five or $10,000 coaching package, or you're talking about $100,000 coaching package, a company with at least $10 million of sales, 100,000 is a small amount. That is the budget for offering employee programs. People are looking for those things. So once you find your way into that community, and those people all hang out together. They belong to the same associations, they go to the same country clubs, they go to the same conferences together, they go, like my sister, to the same ski resort. And yeah, she built that massage practice into $1 million practice, and then now my younger sister has taken it over because this is the other piece that is so genius, and not rocket science, but when you do charge premium, you can offer premium quality, and those clients will stay with you for a lifetime, literally. Like my younger sister who took over that practice, those clients have been in that practice for more than 20 years. Yeah.
That is so cool. And that's the benefit of listening with your inner guidance and paying attention to that and just going with what you're supposed to be doing because I want to go back to this because this is really key. And when you're doing consultative selling and people are going, I got to work with you somehow, you start to understand the questions that you ask are super important and how you listen is super important because I was trying to push them in this direction Whereas I have all these other directions we could go in, and that direction could be one in the future.
I
It,
love the direction that you're going in, because what it strikes off to me when you're talking about the following your unconscious or following your guidance, different things like this. So there was two different things that my sister was really big into, and she was the person to instigate this in my family. She was very big into transcendental meditation, so meditation in general. So this allows you to calm your nervous system and open up your unconscious mind to receive things. And the other thing that she was very big into, she invested in, this is like before coaching was a thing, was what's called the Silva mind control method. And now Mind Valley purchased that program and they teach it now. But this is also roughly what our Joseph Rodriguez, who we have in common, so he teaches this as well. So the ability to tap into the unconscious mind and the ability to tap into intuition and then just follow that intuition. Because like I said, you follow that intuition into one place where I didn't even know that that existed over there logically, but you follow your unconscious mind and it will lead you. The more I meditate every single morning, that's a key part of what I do. And so like when you were mentioning like how sometimes like it might appear like I know exactly what to do or what to do to support you or other clients that I work with, that's how I do it. It's the
I,
unconscious. We're all connected, and that's what Jose Silva spoke of. We are all connected in the unconscious realm, whatever a person calls that realm where we are all connected. And so when we tune into that, we know exactly what to provide, and it's exactly what people need. And it looks like magic, and it is magic, quite honestly.
I 100% agree because here's what I've started doing recently. I've had a very big journey with anxiety all of my life. And it just hit its peak recently. And I've been working with anxiety coaches. And I also interviewed Mark on my channel as well. And he's also from Flow Based Prosperity Mastermind. And he said the same exact thing that Gieo said. He talked about transcendental meditation. He talked about the Silva method. He talked about just getting in touch with that. So one thing that I really made sure a priority in my life, which makes flow a priority in my life, is getting in touch with nature every morning, no matter
Mm-hmm.
what. And that's my meditation. And that's where my answers come. And I
Mm-hmm.
go do that and I sit in my car if it's raining or if it's really hot, and I have a notebook and I'm writing down what's coming from there. And it's been really powerful, which leads me to the final part of this, which is really cool because it leads me to the final part of this interview because I wanted to have Gieo back, and I foresee Gieo teaching my coaches how we do this consultative selling, because it is like magic. And that is what's transpired in my business, because as fate would have it or whatever, there's so many different aspects. I coach on anxiety, I coach on fitness one-on-one, which could lead to other opportunities. But I also have found my niche and my calling is to teach other corporate wellness consultants, or
Mm-hmm.
holistic wellness consultants, I call us, because I feel like that's even sticking us in a box. How to run a good program, which starts with the one-on-one coaching, really and truly. Because I have found that when I work with a CEO or a CFO, they find, hey, Kathie is really good at what she does. And I'm trying to set an example for my team and I love her culture. Let's take it even further. But this didn't just come to me because I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. This came to me from sitting in silence and really focusing my attention and not focusing on the voice of anxiety that's telling me, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing this, you got to be working by the hour, you got to be doing this, you got to be doing this. And then also following my true coach's guidance. In the movie Radio, he always calls him, okay, coach. And I would find myself saying that to Gieo. Okay, coach. Okay, coach. Okay, coach. Because he was brought to me as part of this journey and is just a piece of the puzzle that's really it's a beautiful way that it all came together and how things all work out. And it's not just about building a business or whatever. I feel so complete and so fulfilled now. And Gio was a big part of that. And I want him to talk a little bit about how this can lead you to other opportunities. Instead of just thinking inside this little box, because what,
Yeah. I love
yeah,
that because this is a central piece that I teach, I value, which is pretty much what you just said. So it's not just about building a business or a stream of income, even though that is important for sustaining ourselves. But what I like to look at it as is building a movement. And a movement is created based on shared values, camaraderie, and mutual support. And this is why group programs are so powerful. And just the foundation of all of that is building a community. And so, what I teach is building that community on social media to gather your tribe together and to give freely of what you have to offer, to speak about it and to inspire people about it. And then people will come on into your community, and then when it comes to actually building your course or your program or your corporate wellness experience for a company, then one of the greatest values is to instill that program with these same type of things like shared values. So a corporate wellness program ideally is built on the company's values. And so it's very counterintuitive because I have seen many corporate wellness coaches just trying to go after the market, go after the market. The market for corporate wellness programs is exploding right now. It's really big, and people are trying to bring in different AI and apps and ways to automate it, which is all fine and good. That's part of it. But at the center of it is building a way to support the culture of a company through health and wellness and good communication, rewarding clients. And so when you create a program that's like a movement for the company, you're going to bring a value that it can't even be replaced. Like you will not be replaced. And when you charge $100,000 a year to implement that program, you're going to be the you're going to be irreplaceable. And so you will have that client for 10 years, 20 years, like my sister did. So you're going to be looking at $1 million or $2 million each client. That's how much they'll be worth to you. And yeah, what you're mastering is the design of these programs and how to enroll clients is spot on. And it's perfect timing in the marketplace. So I really praise what you're doing.
yay. I love it. I love it. And I really want to touch on this before we go. It's all about being heart centered. It's not about because the market is so vast and so big and growing so quickly. Everybody just thinks they could just jump right in and they're just going to do that. And I have to go back to the consultative selling, because with consultative selling, you will find, hey, I don't want to work with this person. I will send them to somewhere else.
Yep.
Instead of just taking everybody, just like Geo, I model my business just like Geo does because I trust him. I know him. I like him. And he does it the right way, where for me, it's heart centered. And that's where I come from. And that's what I like to see in the industry. And then when you w- don't hire everybody just because they're throwing money at you, you don't end up working for companies that don't even need you. Like,
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and there's a power in that polarity too, when you make it clear like who you don't work for. And as I understand what you're putting together in your ideal clients, it's like you really want clients and companies that really care about their employees, right? And not just pasting on a corporate wellness program because maybe they get an insurance rebate or they've heard from other companies like this is the thing to do. But yeah, working with companies like Zappos is to me one of the perfect models to think about. It's like the employees at Zappos almost never leave. And that's an enormous competitive edge to have because particularly higher level employees can cost 10 or 20 or $30,000 or more to replace. And so when a corporate wellness program really communicates the values that a company really cares about their employees and not just in lip service. People are smart to that now. They're like, oh, this is just a lip service company. And yeah, when you say those are not the companies I work with, you on the other side, you polarize and you really attract and really stand out to your ideal clients.
which only means that it's going to be a joy-based business and fun-based business and a flow-based business. And that is what I strive to do. I strive to live in flow. I make it a priority in my life. And when I did that, everything shifted to magic, like pure. That's all. The only way I can describe it is magic. And it's been a blessing. Gieo, thank you so much for being here today and doing this interview. I know this is the first of many. We'll have you back for sure. Where can people find you and how can they follow you? Because I know, let me add this before he tells us, he gives lots of great information in his weekly lives that will benefit you just by listening to that.
Yeah. So the place people can find me is across multiple social media platforms on YouTube, and it's all now underneath the brand name of One True Calling. And so One True Calling on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, and then also my website, which is onetruecalling.io. And that's where people can find me.
Okay, great. And as always, I will have links to all of that in the show notes and description below, and also ways you could even work with Gieo, because I invite you to do a call with him and find out if he's even available to work with you. So that's
Yeah.
what I love about it. And it's all heart based and start right there in the flow base. So thank you so much for being here today, Gieo. And is there anything else you'd like to add before we say goodbye?
Nope, I think that's about it. I think we covered it all, and I'm just excited for the future for you and for the industry that you're working in because the workplace is the place where people spend a huge amount of their time. And so I do take the great inspiration you're talking about flow based, and I think immediately to Ben and Jerry's. And Ben and Jerry's, their primary slogan was, "If it's not fun, why do it?" And I didn't work in their company, but I used to go to the Newport Folk Festival and they had those big giant Ben and Jerry's. They were the sponsor and it said, if it's not fun, why do it? And I am certain that's how companies can be. And to look forward to going to work and having the work environment be a place that supports your health and wellness, it's not a pipe dream. It's how things can be. And in many companies, they are right now. That's why I said this is a big movement. So I'm very excited for what you're doing and I appreciate you having me on today.
All right. Thank you, Gieo. And we'll see y'all next time.
All right. See you later.
All right. Thank you for watching. I will have links in the show notes and description below to all kinds of good information on where you can find Gieo and all kinds of good stuff. Anyways, I trust that you found today's episode helpful. If you know somebody who can benefit from it, please share it with them. And until next time, I will see you next time. Peace out and namaste.